Every time you post something, seeking validation from strangers online, you're broadcasting to the world that you don't believe in your own worth. The people who command the most respect in real life are often invisible on social media platforms. They're not documenting every meal, every thought, every moment of their day, because they're too busy actually living their lives. Meanwhile, those desperately collecting likes and comments are essentially begging for scraps of attention from people who don't even know them. The harsh reality is that your online behavior reveals exactly how much you respect yourself, and if you don't respect yourself, why should anyone else? The most respected individuals I know treat their privacy like the precious commodity it is, sharing their lives with people who've earned the right to be there, not with anyone who happens to scroll past their feed. There's something fascinating about walking into a room and noticing how certain people just command attention without uttering a single word. You know exactly who I'm talking about. They're not the loudest ones in the corner trying to convince everyone of their importance. They're not the ones desperately seeking validation through endless chatter. No, these individuals possess something far more powerful. A quiet magnetism that draws people toward them like moths to a flame. I remember sitting in a coffee shop years ago watching this elderly gentleman at the corner table. He never raised his voice, never interrupted anyone, yet every person who approached him seemed to light up in his presence. The barista lingered a little longer at his table. Other customers would nod respectfully as they passed. There was something about his energy, his way of being, that commanded respect without him ever having to ask for it. That's when it hit me. Respect isn't something you demand or manipulate others into giving you. It's something you earn through who you are, not what you say. Most people have this completely backwards. They think respect comes from being the smartest person in the room, from having the wittiest comeback, from dominating conversations, or from building walls of authority around themselves. But here's the truth that will change everything for you. The people who command the most genuine respect are often the quietest ones in the room. They understand that true power lies not in what you project outwardly, but in what you cultivate within yourself. This isn't about becoming a doormat or disappearing into the background. This is about understanding that your very presence, your energy, your way of moving through the world speaks volumes before you ever open your mouth. And when you master this art of silent respect, something magical happens. People begin to gravitate toward you naturally. They seek your opinion. They value your presence. They treat you with a reverence that no amount of talking or convincing could ever achieve. The energy you carry with you is like your invisible signature on the world. Before you shake someone's hand, before you introduce yourself, before you say hello, people can sense who you are. There's an energetic field around each of us that communicates our inner state to everyone we encounter. Some people radiate anxiety, desperation, or neediness. Others emit confidence, peace, and genuine care for those around them. Think about the people in your life who you most respect. I bet they're not the ones who constantly tell you how great they are. They're the ones who make you feel better about yourself just by being in their presence. They have this quality about them that says, I'm comfortable with who I am, and I'm genuinely interested in you. That's magnetic. That's what draws people in and keeps them coming back. Your vibrational frequency is like a radio station that's always broadcasting. Some people broadcast drama, chaos, and emotional turbulence. Others broadcast calm, stability, and warmth. Which station do you think people want to tune into? Which one makes others feel safe, valued, and respected in return? I've noticed that people who command respect without words have mastered the art of being fully present with their energy. When they walk into a room, they're not scanning for who can benefit them or plotting their next move. They're simply there, fully available to the moment and to the people around them. There's no agenda, no manipulation, just genuine human presence. And people can feel that authenticity from across the room. Your energy speaks first, and it often speaks loudest. When you're at peace with yourself, when you've done the inner work to become comfortable in your own skin, that peace radiates outward. It becomes a gift you give to everyone you encounter. People don't always remember what you said to them, but they always remember how you made them feel. And the feeling you create starts with the energy you bring. This brings us to something absolutely crucial. Authenticity is the bedrock of wordless respect. You cannot fake your way into genuine respect. You cannot pretend to be something you're not and expect people to honor the real you. The moment you start performing instead of being, people can sense it. We all have incredibly sensitive radar for detecting when someone is putting on an act. Authenticity requires tremendous courage because it means showing up as yourself, not as who you think you should be or who others expect you to be. It means being willing to be vulnerable, to admit when you don't know something, to let people see your humanity. And paradoxically, this vulnerability is what makes you strong in the eyes of others. I've watched people transform their entire social and professional lives simply by deciding to stop pretending. There's this immediate sense of relief that washes over them when they finally give themselves permission to be real, and that relief is contagious. When you're authentic, you give everyone around you permission to drop their masks too. Suddenly, conversations become deeper, relationships become more meaningful, and respect flows naturally. The beautiful thing about authenticity is that it eliminates competition. When you're trying to be someone else, you're always comparing yourself to others, always worried about measuring up. But when you commit to being authentically yourself, there's no competition, because nobody else can be you better than you can. You become irreplaceable, not because you're perfect, but because you're genuinely yourself. People are starving for real human connection in a world full of facades and social media performances. When they encounter someone who is genuinely authentic, it's like finding water in the desert. They're drawn to that realness because it reminds them of who they could be if they had the courage to drop their own masks. Authenticity also means aligning your actions with your values even when no one is watching. It means being the same person in private that you are in public. This kind of integrity creates a solid foundation that others can sense and trust. When people know you're the same person whether they're present or not, they respect you on a deeper level. But authenticity isn't enough on its own. You need to combine it with genuine presence, the ability to be fully where you are, with whoever you're with, doing whatever you're doing. Most people are physically present but mentally absent. They're thinking about their next meeting, scrolling through their phones, or planning what they're going to say next instead of listening to what's being said now. True presence is becoming increasingly rare, which makes it incredibly valuable. When you give someone your complete attention, you're giving them a gift that few people receive anymore. You're saying, right now, in this moment, you matter more than anything else I could be thinking about. That kind of attention is deeply honoring and naturally generates respect. Presence isn't about being passive or silent. It's about being fully engaged with whatever is happening right now. If you're in a conversation, you're completely focused on understanding and connecting with the other person. If you're working on a project, you're fully absorbed in doing your best work. If you're spending time with family, you're entirely there with them, not thinking about work or other obligations. The quality of your presence directly impacts the quality of your relationships. People can tell when you're truly with them versus when you're just going through the motions. They can sense whether you're listening to understand or just waiting for your turn to talk. They know whether you care about them as a person or just see them as a means to an end. When you master presence, something wonderful happens in your conversations. Instead of trying to impress others with what you know, You become genuinely curious about what they know. Instead of waiting for your turn to speak, you become fascinated by what they're sharing. This shift from performance to presence is transformational for both you and the people you interact with. Comfortable silence becomes one of your greatest tools. Most people are so uncomfortable with quiet moments that they fill them with meaningless chatter. But when you're comfortable with silence, you create space for deeper thoughts and feelings to emerge. You allow conversations to breathe and develop naturally, rather than forcing them in predetermined directions. Your body language in these moments of presence speaks volumes. Relaxed shoulders, open posture, steady eye contact, and genuine facial expressions all communicate respect for the person you're with. You're not fidgeting, checking your watch, or looking around the room for someone more interesting to talk to. You're completely there, and that presence is magnetic. This kind of presence requires emotional mastery, the ability to remain centered and calm regardless of what's happening around you. Most people are like emotional pinballs, bouncing from one reaction to another based on external circumstances. But those who command respect have developed the ability to choose their responses rather than simply reacting to whatever triggers come their way. Emotional mastery doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It means developing enough self-awareness to recognize your emotions as they arise and enough self-control to choose how you want to respond. It's the difference between saying, "I'm angry about this situation and I need to think about how to address it constructively," versus exploding in the moment and saying things you'll later regret. When you react emotionally to every slight, every disagreement, every inconvenience, you give your power away. You're essentially telling the world that your inner state depends on external circumstances and other people's behavior. But when you respond thoughtfully, even in challenging situations, you demonstrate that you're in control of yourself. And self-control is one of the most respected qualities a person can possess. Developing emotional mastery requires becoming an observer of your own thoughts and feelings. Instead of being swept away by every emotion, you learn to step back and watch them with curious detachment. You might notice, "Interesting, I'm feeling defensive right now. I wonder what's behind that reaction." This kind of self-awareness gives you the space to choose a more constructive response. People are naturally drawn to those who remain calm in the storm. When everyone else is panicking, complaining, or falling apart, the person who maintains their equilibrium becomes a source of stability that others gravitate toward. They become the eye of the hurricane, peaceful, centered, and reliable, even when chaos swirls around them. This emotional stability isn't about being cold or unfeeling. It's about having enough inner security that you don't need to prove anything to anyone through dramatic reactions. You can acknowledge difficulties without being overwhelmed by them. You can express disagreement without attacking the other person. You can stand firm in your convictions without becoming rigid or defensive. But emotional mastery must be paired with consistent action that aligns with your values. People respect those whose words and actions match, who do what they say they're going to do, who live according to their stated principles, even when it's difficult or inconvenient. Your reputation is built one small decision at a time. Every time you choose integrity over convenience, truth over popularity, or service over self-interest, you're making a deposit into your character account. These deposits compound over time until you develop a reputation for being someone who can be trusted, someone whose word means something, someone who does the right thing even when no one is watching. Consistency is key here. It's not enough to act with integrity most of the time. People need to know they can count on you to be the same person, whether you're having a good day or a bad day, whether you're dealing with friends or strangers, whether there's something in it for you or not. This reliability becomes your calling card, the the thing people know about you. Think about the people in your life who you trust most completely. They're probably not the most talented, or the most charming, or the most successful. They're the ones who have proven over time that they are who they say they are, that they'll do what they say they'll do, that they can be counted on in good times and bad. That consistency of character is what creates deep, lasting respect. Small ethical choices matter more than you might think. How you treat the cashier at the grocery store, whether you return the extra change when someone makes a mistake, how you speak about others when they're not present. These seemingly minor moments reveal your true character, and people notice. They may not comment on it, but they're watching and forming opinions about who you really are. When you align your actions with your values consistently, you develop an inner confidence that doesn't need external validation. You know who you are and what you stand for, regardless of what others think. This self-assurance is attractive and respectable because it's not dependent on circumstances or other people's opinions. It's rooted in something deeper and more stable. This inner security naturally leads to a service mindset, the understanding that true fulfillment comes not from what you can get from others, but from what you can give. When you shift your focus from what's in it for me to how can I help, everything changes. Your relationships deepen, your influence grows, and respect flows toward you naturally. Service doesn't mean being a doormat or saying yes to everything. It means looking for ways to add value to every interaction, to leave people better than you found them, to contribute something positive to every situation you encounter. Sometimes service looks like offering practical help. Sometimes it's simply listening with genuine care. Sometimes it's sharing knowledge or resources that might benefit someone else. The paradox of service is that the more you give without expecting anything in return, the more you tend to receive. Not because you're keeping score or manipulating outcomes, but because generosity creates a positive cycle that naturally comes back to you. People want to reciprocate kindness. They want to help those who have helped them. They want to be around people who make them feel valued and supported. This service mindset also protects you from the trap of neediness that repels respect. When you're focused on what you can give rather than what you can get, you're not constantly seeking validation or approval from others. You're not trying to impress people or convince them of your worth. You're simply showing up as a positive force in their lives, and that authenticity is magnetic. People can immediately sense the difference between someone who's trying to get something from them and someone who genuinely cares about their well-being. The first approach creates suspicion and distance. The second approach creates trust and connection. When people trust you and feel genuinely cared for by you, respect follows naturally. But service must be balanced with healthy boundaries. Being helpful doesn't mean being available for everything and everyone at all times. It doesn't mean sacrificing your own well-being to meet others' every need. Ironically, having clear boundaries actually increases respect because it shows that you value yourself enough to protect your time, energy, and resources. Setting boundaries without being harsh or cold is an art form. It requires learning to say no with kindness but firmness. It means being clear about what you will and won't do without having to justify your decisions or make elaborate excuses. It's about communicating your limits in a way that honors both your needs and the other person's dignity. Healthy boundaries actually invite more respect because they demonstrate self-respect. When you don't respect yourself enough to maintain reasonable limits, others struggle to respect you too. But when you show that you value your time, your commitments, and your willingness, others naturally begin to value them as well. The key is communicating boundaries with grace. Instead of getting angry or defensive when someone makes an unreasonable request, you simply and calmly explain what you can and cannot do. You might say, "I care about you and want to help, but I'm not available for that right now. Here's what I can offer instead." This approach maintains the relationship while protecting your boundaries. Good boundaries also mean not trying to control or fix others. You can be caring and supportive without taking responsibility for other people's choices or emotions. This restraint actually demonstrates respect for their autonomy while protecting your own emotional well-being. People appreciate being allowed to work through their own challenges without someone swooping in to rescue them. Throughout all of this, maintaining a learning mindset is crucial. The people who command the most respect are often those who remain curious and humble, who are always willing to learn something new, who can admit when they don't know something, or when they've made a mistake. Intellectual humility is incredibly attractive. When you can say, "I don't know, but I'd like to learn more about that," or "You know more about this than I do, would you teach me?" you demonstrate confidence in yourself while showing respect for others' knowledge and experience. This kind of humility invites people to share their wisdom with you, creating deeper connections and mutual respect. Learning from everyone you meet requires setting aside ego and assumptions. The person serving your coffee might have insights about customer service that could transform your business. The child playing at the park might remind you of important truths about joy and presence that you've forgotten. The elderly person at the bus stop might have wisdom about life that you desperately need to hear. When you approach each interaction with genuine curiosity about what you might learn, you honor the other person's experience and knowledge. This attitude creates an immediate connection because people feel valued for what they know and who they are, not just for what they can do for you. Admitting mistakes gracefully is perhaps one of the most respect-generating behaviors you can develop. Everyone makes mistakes, but not everyone handles them with grace. When you can acknowledge an error quickly, take responsibility without making excuses, and focus on learning from the experience rather than defending your ego, you demonstrate remarkable strength of character. People respect those who can own their mistakes because it shows integrity, humility, and emotional maturity. It also makes you more trustworthy because others know you won't hide problems or blame others when things go wrong. They can count on you to be honest about difficulties and to work towards solutions rather than cover-ups. A growth mindset in relationships means believing that connections can deepen, that understanding can increase, that conflicts can be resolved constructively. Instead of writing people off after disagreements or assuming that personalities are fixed, you remain open to the possibility that relationships can evolve and improve over time. This optimistic approach to human connection is refreshing in a world where many people are quick to judge, quick to dismiss, and quick to move on when relationships require effort. When you demonstrate faith in people's ability to grow and change, when you're willing to work through difficulties rather than simply walking away, you show a level of commitment and maturity that commands deep respect. As we bring this together, I want you to understand that the respect you generate through these principles creates a ripple effect that extends far beyond your immediate interactions. When you consistently show up as someone who is authentic, present, emotionally mature, reliable, service-oriented, boundaried, and growth-minded, you influence everyone around you to rise to a higher standard. Your example gives others permission to be more authentic themselves. Your presence reminds them of the power of being fully engaged. Your emotional stability helps them feel safer, expressing their own thoughts and feelings. Your reliability encourages them to become more trustworthy. Your service mindset inspires them to look for ways to contribute. Your healthy boundaries teach them to respect themselves and others more fully. This is how you change the world without saying a word. You become living proof that there's another way to be human. another way to relate to others, another way to move through life that creates more connection, more trust, more respect, and more joy for everyone involved. The transformation that awaits you when you embody these principles is profound. You'll find that you no longer need to seek respect because it flows toward you naturally. You'll discover that your relationships become deeper and more meaningful. You'll realize that your influence grows not through force or manipulation, but through the magnetic pull of authentic character. You'll notice that people seek you out for advice, that they trust you with their struggles, that they value your presence in their lives. You'll find yourself becoming the kind of person that others want to be around, want to learn from, and want to emulate. And all of this happens not because of what you say, but because of who you are. What's particularly beautiful about this transformation is how it creates a positive feedback loop in your life. As you become more respected, you naturally feel more confident. As you feel more confident, you become even more authentic and present. As you become more authentic and present, people are drawn to you even more strongly. This upward spiral continues to build momentum, creating a life filled with meaningful connections and genuine influence. You'll also notice that stress and anxiety begin to diminish in your life. When you're not constantly worried about what others think of you, when you're not trying to prove your worth through words or achievements, when you're simply being yourself and contributing positively to the world around you, there's a tremendous sense of peace that settles over your existence. This inner calm becomes another source of your magnetic appeal. The workplace transforms when you apply these principles. Instead of engaging in office politics or trying to climb the ladder through manipulation, you become known as someone who gets things done quietly and effectively. Your colleagues begin to trust your judgment. Your superiors recognize your reliability. Your subordinates respect your leadership style. Promotions and opportunities come to you naturally because people want to work with and for someone they genuinely respect. Your family relationships deepen as well. When you stop trying to control or fix everyone around you, when you simply show up as a loving, present, boundaried individual, family dynamics shift in beautiful ways. Children feel safer expressing themselves. Partners feel more valued and understood. Extended family members begin to see you as a source of stability and wisdom. Holiday gatherings become more enjoyable because your calm presence helps everyone relax and connect more authentically. The time to begin is now. Today, you can choose to carry yourself differently. You can decide to be more present in your conversations. You can commit to responding rather than reacting. You can look for ways to serve rather than ways to benefit. You can set healthy boundaries while remaining open and caring. You can approach each interaction with curiosity and humility. These aren't grand gestures that require dramatic life changes. These are simple shifts in how you show up, moment by moment, interaction by interaction. But don't underestimate their power. Small changes in being create massive changes in how others perceive and respond to you. Remember, respect isn't something you can demand or manipulate others into giving you. It's something you earn by becoming the kind of person who naturally deserves it. It's something that grows from the inside out, from your character to your presence to your impact on the world around you. When you focus on becoming rather than getting, when you prioritize being over doing, when you understand that who you are speaks louder than anything you could ever say, you step into a power that transforms not only your own life, but the lives of everyone you touch. Your respectful legacy begins today with this moment, with this choice to become the person who commands respect, simply by being who they are. The world is waiting for more people like this. The world needs more people like this. And you have everything within you right now to become exactly this kind of person.